personas and big data is coming up next. One of the most essential tools in every marketer's kit is an avatar or a persona. A customer profile, often a fictional composite character designed to help us craft messages to our potential audiences. But these avatars are often based on limited customer data and sometimes anecdotal evidence. Yet, with so much real data that we have at our fingertips, can we create real-life personas and dramatically increase our chances of talking to them at the right place, the right time, with, of course, the right message? Our next session looks at the weaknesses of avatars and how to address these by utilising big data to inform our marketing strategy today. Please welcome the Director, Senior Product Developer for the Fifth Element, Jacinta Outlaw.
I'll keep you. That was lovely. Thank you. Hi, everyone. How are you going? Good? Yeah, how's the morning been? Pretty good? Great. Okay, so I'll just work out how to use this. Okay, so I am here to talk to you about personas, and there's a whole heap of information about personas and reasons why that you need to use personas and all of that sort of stuff. So what I'm going to do is trying to clear up the language a little bit first up so we're all on the same page. So average customer. This is where we used to be in the 80s and all the way through to probably the 2000s and maybe even into a little bit more. And then when you actually start understanding how antiquated average customers are, you realise that we really shouldn't be touching them at all. But really what an average customer is somewhere between two extremes. So an average is somebody right down this end and somebody right up that end, and the average is smack here in the middle. Now, average customer actually doesn't exist, so we're marketing now to a person that doesn't actually exist. So this is not really effective marketing. So we've got rid of average customer, and we don't tend to hang out with them very often anymore. What we need to do is we now need to move towards causality. So causality is what causes us to do what we actually do. So causality is, what makes us purchase things. What makes us select products over other products? What makes us search specific things in Google? And why are those search terms used? What causes them to be isolated specific products over others? And it goes on and on. What causes us to wake up every day? So if we could actually understand that, that's when we have the holy grail of marketing, because that's when we could understand what's going to cause our customer to buy our product as opposed to our direct competitors. So that's a pretty cool place to be. Now, at the moment, we are in this absolute perfect storm of incredible amounts of data coming through. We've got data laws that have just been passed at the beginning of August that has created open data sources. You can go to your bank now and you can actually ask the bank to take all of your details and give it to the competitor, and it doesn't hurt you a bit. There's a whole range of different things that we're now doing. So the game's on, the race is on to personalise and understand our customers. We as customers and as users, during the course of your day, you'll be moving through the internet, you'll be moving around this building, and what you're doing is you're actually leaving a breadcrumb of information behind you that somebody who's got some smarts and a little bit of data analytics behind that can actually create an entire story. Yesterday, Deloitte and Sitecore did a massive presentation and Toyota headed up the day. And it was all about experience and how to deliver a real experience to our customers. So what Toyota have done is they've taken personalisation to the next step. So if you as a customer actually go onto their Corolla website these days now, as the first user, you'll get an experience, and then as the second user, you'll get a completely different experience. And then all the way through to if you have actually purchased a Toyota, you will get another different experience when launching into their website. So that's customisation and personalisation, and that's where we're going. So what we need to do as businesses and organisations is to keep up with that, and causality is the only way of doing that. So who here in this room, uses personas? Fabulous. So this is the definition of persona. The aspect of someone's character that is presented to or perceived by others. So there's a whole heap of tools out there that we can actually build personas with. This is one of them. And this is what I call an avatar. So this is a very fictional character. We haven't even got a real life person against her, and it's probably the base level. Now, what you would be doing here is you're explaining some various different bits and pieces about this individual. You may be talking about their age, their work, their family status, their goals, their frustrations, their bio, and all sorts of things like that. But what you do tend to do, and if anybody here has actually got a persona on this level, hands up. Who's prepared to share their persona? Stand up. Nobody? An explanation of their persona? No? So what tends to happen, and I'll explain a basic persona. So I may be a fashion company, and my target market may be women aged 43 to 48, living in regional areas, 3 children, suburban house, average income, and likes to go out on weekends and watch the kids play sport. What I've actually done is I've just described myself. Given away my age, sorry about that. But yeah, I've just described myself. And that's what we tend to do as marketers and also business owners. We understand who we are, and it's really easy to then push that across onto our perceived target market. So the next level from that is a segment that is maybe a little bit more real. Now, this information can be based on a whole range of things. Generally speaking, it's ABS. Now, yesterday again at the site called Deloitte conference, they actually announced that 77% of businesses and marketers use ABS data, and it's just in the demographic level for all of their persona builds. I'll just do a quick reminder that ABS data is from 2016. So we have changed dramatically as consumers since 2016, so it's not necessarily reliable. But this type of information here, the age, the occupation, the status, maybe you can pick that up from some community profiles. IE or IQ economy is one of those ones that you could use. Current customer data, so you trawl back through your CRM and you identify your current customer information and you create an average of that, and that may actually form that information. The next one is maybe you can use some live interviews with your current customers and get some really good feedback, or you could actually just be starting to go with your gut feel now that you're starting to understand your current customer a little bit more. Their goals, maybe that's come from a little bit of market research. You can get this type of information from Roy Morgan, Nielsen, M.A.S.I.E, and VALS. Tech savvy and the way in which you interact with the world. This can come from customer research again, gut feel, identified need based on your product. So, if your product's really high tech, obviously then you're going after people who are tech. And you would write that in. So this is what it looks like against a real person. So up the top there, which one's my pointer? There. Up the top there, that's Roy Morgan data, so that's your values. That's how people behave, and you can pick that up from Roy Morgan. It's quite expensive, around about $25,000. The next one down is ABS, so you can get on there. That's free data, so you can pick that up at any point. The next one down is social media, so you can get onto the back end of social media and you can actually start understanding the customer movements and different pieces, things like that against your ads or also against your likes and things. Next one down is Google Trends, and then also into census. So census is actually the Yellow Pages, White Pages census, and every year they do a business and consumer report that's been going since 2016. Really quite informative. I highly recommend it. It's free to download. So, but what's happening here is I've put all of those different data points against that one individual. But how in the world do I link that? How do I know that the information that I've got from Roy Morgan is actually against the ABS data and the region, and whether or not that person, one of the personas from Roy Morgan, is actually socially aware? How do I know a socially aware lives in the regional areas, earns X amount and goes onto social media? It's all quite disjointed and you can't connect that through. So how do you bring your customers back into focus? So what we've done is we actually go out and we've found 6 different data sources here in Australia, and all of those are highly trusted. So we are looking at we do take down Roy Morgan data, census data, ABS data, Reserve Bank data, GovLake, which is 9 different government agencies that collect data on us. And what we do is we filter that through a behavioural algorithm that's really quite, it's the only one in the world, and we create a particular individual. So we link all of that information based on behavioural characteristics, so there's no longer any gut feel. And what we do is we base that off products. So we've reverse engineered everything that you've ever had to do with marketing. So we go to the product and we go, who is naturally attracted to that product? So this is the product version of what we call M.A.S.I.E. So this is M.A.S.I.E. Here she is here, modelled off me. Abs and perky boobs are on back order, but they'll be here next week. And what M.A.S.I.E. stands for is a marketing and segmentation intelligent engine. And we designed her 6 years ago, and we've had to wait for some time for all of the data to come through and everything. And now, in this perfect storm of big data, she's actually been launched and she can do quite well. So what we do is we select the product. This particular one is adrenaline, and then we hit submit. And what she does is she goes out and she understands who is naturally attracted to adventure, and she brings back an audience. So this is the persona that she's come up with, and I'm going to, sorry guys down that end, but I've got to point up this end. So this is the basic page. This is actually free. If you go on to M.A.S.I.E, M-A-I-S-E.me, so M.A.S.I.E me, you'll be able to get into this and you can test run her. So this is the introduction level and it's also the free level. So play around with all those products and then hit submit. You do need to be forgiving of this website because it is data driven. So once you get in here, it is slow to load. She does go out and seek that information every time she goes. So it's an inquiry. Also, the data is live, so it downloads every night. So today's persona may look completely different to tomorrow's persona. But this is the introduction level. It just basically gives you some keywords. These aren't Google search keywords. These are just keywords that if you hear it in a conversation, your ears tweak up and you just go, oh, what did you say? That's relevant to me. It gives Facebook usage and also what motivates them. Once you get into demographics, which is your basic information, we do dive a little bit deeper. We go right down into their job titles, the split up between male and female in this particular persona, their average income, whether or not they're married, so their family status, education level, but most importantly, down the bottom here, this particular persona represents 3.1% of the population of Australia. So the biggest point of difference here with this algorithm and the data that we are actually collecting is that we've segmented the real population of Australia. So each of you guys are actually a part of one of my 62 personas. So the 62 personas are just community groups of individuals that it goes off the theory of like birds flock together. So 3.1% of the population actually equates to 625,000 people. So 625,000 people, if you speak to them along these lines, they'll actually start listening to you. Next one is psychographic level. So psychographic level starts looking at their personality, understanding whether or not they're analytical or not, understanding whether or not they're introvert or extrovert. This all starts moulding your conversations. If they're an extrovert, they will actively go out and seek attention. If they're an introvert, they're going to actually sit there and wait for you to come to them. We talk about what motivates them, so whether or not they're price sensitive, whether or not they purchase for comfort. New product adoption is down the bottom there, so whether or not they're likely to take up new products or new concepts. And also common likes. There's a bit of a paragraph around their affinities and also their lifestyle. So that's basically if you're sitting in their lounge room and you're having a conversation with them, what that conversation would look like. The next one is real world behaviour. So this is everybody out in the real world and how they interact with the real world. So on the left-hand side there, it's the media consumption. So we all know we need to touch people in multiple different places. We can't just do online or can't just do radio. We need to touch them in a range of different places. So this is where else is quite effective for these people. Their path to purchase, so their price sensitivity, their quality of products wanted, value for money, and also whether or not they're motivated by big brands or attached to big brands. In the middle there's their belief system. This is their conscience. And it's a bit harsh, but it's what makes them want to pat the cat, not stab the cat. So it's how we believe, it's what we do, it's why we make the decisions we make. So that's really cool insights, and that's really the holy grail and the pivot point. Once we could get to that information, then we could really understand causality. So we understand now people purchase for the security of their family. So this particular persona, if that was the case, you would mark your messages around that. So purchase this and it'll keep your kids safe. Purchase this and it'll buy you some time back. Create efficiencies and you can spend more time with your family. So once you start understanding that, that's when you can really craft some cool messages. Also down the bottom there, it's the hot buttons. I call it the size 9 boot. So when somebody's sitting there and you just need to get them to move or purchase, or it's your call to action, that's your call to action. That's the top 3 call to actions for this particular persona. On the right-hand side is life goals. So this is their desire to travel, their desire to spend time with their family, desire to own their own home, and also to build their career. This is their motive. So you would know people out there who are, really highly energised. They are just career-driven and they travel consistently and they've got this home. You would know them, you can see them, you can spot them. If they're not that way inclined, it's a completely different message. So when I talk to businesses, I say, you can say the exactly same message in 2 completely different ways. I can say to you, come into my shop today and spend $100 and I'll give you 10% off. Pretty cool. Come into my shop today and spend $100, I'll give you $10 cash back. Exactly the same deal, completely different words, completely different segments. Also, right down in the right-hand corner, just down here, is damage control. So this is when things go wrong. So when things go wrong out there in public, on social media or in reviews or anything like that, what's the worst thing you can do? Delete it. What's the best thing you can do? Talk to them. So this is how you talk to them and change that negative into a positive. I know my children actually they spend their lives checking reviews before they purchase anything. The other day I went to buy a protein drink. It was a chocolate protein drink. And the last one that I had was absolutely disgusting and I couldn't get through it. And it was a big commitment. It was $50. I needed to know that it was going to be okay. And so I was talking to the lady in the shop and I'm saying to her, I don't know whether to get it or not. Has anybody here had it, And she said, oh, no, nobody here's tasted it. And I said, well, how do I know if it's going to be any good? And the second I open it, I can't bring it back. And so that was me about to leave. Then she said, why don't you just check reviews online? Good thinking. So off I went. Actually, I stayed in the shop with her and I actually searched for it. And the first 3 reviews came back extremely positive. The 4th one was a little bit sweet for me, but still okay. But the top 3 were really, really good. I've actually got to make sure I don't drink too much of it during the day because it's so yummy. And I said, right, okay, job done, bang. And I brought it. So with your reviews, anything like that, it is really, really super important not only to have your good reviews up, but also to have bad reviews up. Because the other thing that my kids do is the second there are 5-star reviews, they turn around and go, yeah, well, their family's done that. So they see through it. Now, finally, this is their online behaviour. So this is what platforms they're on, when they're on, what they like to do. In the middle, so I said earlier that there was 625,000 population of Australia in this segment. There is 352 of those on Facebook that we can find. So with that information, now you can actually target down into that level and start talking to those people in a very personalised manner. Other information here is, this is literally the path to purchase. So, they prefer to browse on their smartphone, they prefer to shop on or purchase on a desktop. They're on social media the most 3 times a day, first thing in the morning, around lunchtime and in the afternoons. The frequency of checking social media is more than 5 times a day. The average spend for the last in 2018 was around about $3,000. That's not in one hit. It just tells me that these people are prepared to actually put their credit card into the internet. So if you have got an online store, they're okay with that. And then finally, their preferred purchase methods. So they actually do prefer to purchase in store. So if you offer them a discount online and then they come in store, you've definitely sort of hooked them. And then finally, when they are interacting with your brand online, what do they actually want from you? And this is top to bottom, most prevalent being a discount, and then moving on through that, what they want from you when they're interacting with you online. So, any questions? You can get into it 2 ways. You can get into it through the fifth element.me or M.A.S.I.E.me. And I'll put that up at the end, actually. Any other questions yet?
Thank you.
No worries. So at this point, Maisie's pretty cool. She can tell you a whole heap of information, but she's pretty powerful. So a little bit more powerful than just social media. So what else can you use M.A.S.I.E. for? There is a global, and if you come out to my stand, I can actually talk you through it. There's a global digital transformation framework. And what that basically means is that there is 7 pillars of digital transformation that every business needs to go through to remain relevant into the future and future-proof your business. So it's not just about, yes, let's have a website, and yeah, we need some social media, we need our emails working, and we might need a bit of technology. It's much more than that. It's about touching all the top of those pillars, but also driving down into maturity so that we can maintain relevance to our customers. I think everybody has noticed that our customers have completely changed their behaviour. I did a skills check in Westfield Tuggerah the other day, and we had 3 clear containers out the front, and we had a whole heap of coloured balls, and people would come along and they would select the coloured ball that matched their age group, and then they would put it into the container that matched their digital skills. Now, these digital skills were actually checked. Well, they were against the capabilities that our children are being taught through our schools. So there's 6 capabilities that the kids are being taught from kinder all the way through to year 12, and they move from basic all the way through to advanced by the time they leave year 12. So we were checking people against those skills. And I had an 83-year-old lady who came in, and when she put a handbag down, and I could see the iPad in the handbag, and I said, "Oh, what are you up to today?" And she said to me, "Oh, I've come to pick up a watch band." And I said, "Oh, okay, so do you know where you're going?" She said, "Oh, yes, no, I've started my shopping journey last night online. I knew I was coming here today. So I've been onto all of the websites for all of the shops here, and I've found which watch band I want, and I'm going down to Prouds and I'm going to pick it up. But if it's not what I think it is when I get there, I've got my iPad, I'll just use the free Wi-Fi here and I'll keep shopping." I went, "Fantastic, you've just represented 46% of the population who start their user journey or their shopping journey on their lounge room before they leave home." It doesn't stop them from paying in the store, but their user journey starts well before that. So what else can you use all this information for? You can use it for your website. You can use it for data-driven SEO. So start building your content in a personalised manner to help drive that. Feels a little bit inadequate after the last minute's talking. Directories, geolocation, so you can start understanding where your customers are, but also stretching your customers out. So if you understand that there's 625,000 people that are your perfect target market, but they're distributed throughout Australia, you want to know where that is. And so you can use your directories to actually start targeting those. Email communications and your key messaging, so how you actually use the tone, the look and feel of your emails and all your communications can be driven by this data. Marketing plan and strategy, your entire strategy can be changed and pivoted against these segments. Technology, so your adoption of technology for your workers, but also for your customers, so you can understand whether or not they're early adopters or late adopters. Do you need to tell them it's well tested and tried? Do you not need to disrupt them? as fast as what other ones need to be disrupted. People attraction. So we used it the other day to actually attract a decent employee with really, really good values to a septic tank company. So it's a septic tank company that cannot keep employees. So there's not a skill, there's no trade and there's no skills involved. You just need to clean out septic tanks. Really hard job to fill. So we went out after a specific behaviour and we filled it that way. Social media. So you can customise your audiences and you can actually use it to create all of your messages, know where to talk to them, how to talk to them, and what to talk to them about. And so that's actually across those 7 pillars. So I'll just take it back one. So they're the 7 pillars. So website, directory, email, marketing, technology, people, like your people, and social media. So they're the 7 pillars that you need to activate against, and that's how you can use this big data to do that. So one of the things that we've been doing is we've been checking businesses against those 7 pillars. So this is one of the things we're famous for, detecting everybody. So the moment you come into our organisation, we actually detect you. And this is how I activate the mind and the hand. So one of the first things I do is I give you a piece of string that represents the colour of your business. So if you're a small business, you're red. And then you actually self-analyse against those 7 pillars whether or not you believe that you are well developed down to doesn't exist. And from there we go into a deeper dive and we actually start understanding exactly where you sit within those frameworks, and we create a roadmap to transformation for you and how to use all of that data. So I've got a step up from this. That's the first level. I've got the next level, which is a digital health check against a business, and I can talk you through how that looks. And that's on my table outside, so if you get time during your lunch break, please come and see me. And then finally, this is M.A.S.I.E and how we have the 62 different personas. We have 5 different dimensions, from introduction, psychographic, demographic, real-world behaviour, and then online behaviour. We have 52 data points per segment as well, and we have the ability to then overlay further data on top of that to use it to customise even further depending on what you need. You can find her at the fifthtelement.me or M.A.S.I.E.me, and she's also a life-size version of her out there beside my table. So, questions, and how early am I? Any eyes opened by the amount of information that we do leave behind? Any businesses that can see some real deeper insights and understanding on how to use personas and actually start putting information together, so now it's no longer information, it's actually data, and it's data that you can question and actually answer with really good answers.
So we've got one down the front here, if we can bring the box down. Yep. Run with that box. Thanks. This lady in the front here.
Is this on? Yeah, okay. How are you guys finding things going with ITP and all of the data regulations that are coming in at the moment?
So what we do is we come off trusted data sources. The majority of them are free. It's just independently, they mean nothing. So data laws, I'm really quite excited about the data laws that have just been released, because that means that we are able to probably get even deeper than this, and that the race is on. So this is the starting point, and it can only get better from here, I think. But yeah, in our instance, that doesn't come into it because it's all free to air. All good?
Okay, some more questions. We've got time for one more quick one from anyone around personas. It's a big thing.
Yep, over the back.
Okay. Yeah, we go that way. Oh. Yes, maybe some practice is needed on throwing the catch box. Do we still have you there? We haven't lost your phone, have we, underwater?
No, it's all good. My question is, can you use M.A.S.I.E for a global audience, or is it just Australia at the moment?
At the moment, it is the Australian audience only. Once we go global, it's a whole range of different factors that need to come into it. However, we have gone globally so we're working with destinations to attract Australian tourists to those destinations and then how to move them around their country. It can be used for venture capitalists as well, new product launch, so you can de-risk with using this tool. So there's a whole heap of different applications. The application I showed you was business to consumer. However, there is a business to business model as well that we use with different criteria. We can put all sorts of information around it. So, but at the moment, it is definitely just the Australian population and New Zealand.
What's your ETA for global?
Sorry?
When do you expect to be global?
It'll take a long time because the behavioural algorithm that's put around this is based on the data that is available here in Australia. That data is not available elsewhere. So depending on what information there is out there, we have to change the algorithm. So we're going to really nail this one before we even think about global.
Yeah. And just with the example that you showed us using M.A.S.I.E, I missed the starting point. You said something about adrenaline or adventure or something?
Yeah. So this page here was actually adventure that I ticked. So this page here, it goes across a whole range of different products. So there'll be coffee in there, there'll be city living, adventure seekers, people who like beer, people who smoke, people, all of those type of characteristics. And basically all you do is you just select whatever's closest to your product. So if you've got a coffee shop and a gallery, you tick the both of them and then you get whoever's closest to you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're about out of time. Please thank Jacinta Outlaw from the Fifth Element.